I had a really big breakfast yesterday, so I was on the toilet pushing out an absolute nuclear warhead when Nwaneri scored. I kid you not, I shouted when I seen the ball hit the back of the net, and my mom ran to the bathroom thinking I shitted out my kidney or something. I felt kind of bad because I'm not gonna lie, it definitely smelled like a war zone in there, but in the moment, I didn't give a damn. Y'all gotta understand, we've been waiting for this shit since September. Not only did MLS get his get back, Nwaneri came on and added a banger to the ass whooping. I couldn't ask for anything more. Watching academy kids break through at your club and then actually turn out to be good gotta be top 5 feelings in the sport. The ratio of homegrown talents that end up being ass to homegrown talents that turn out to be stars at the same club is very lopsided. There's plenty of them that fail, plenty of them that struggle and then move elsewhere and finally succeed, and plenty of them that turn out to be just average. Those three are the large majority of outcomes. An academy kid breaking through, earning his spot, and then blossoming into a real superstar while still at the club is not that common, at least at the large majority of academies. It's why Arsenal's current situation is kinda unprecedented in the best way possible. They managed to produce Saka and then within half a decade spawned MLS and Nwaneri at the same time with 15-year-old Max Dowman still simmering in the academy. Mind you, they saying Max is nastier than the other three and he hasn't even taken calculus yet. This is the kind of shit that happens to clubs every once in a while, every other generation or so. Hale End has produced plenty of great players in the past over the years, but I don't think there's ever been this much youth talent concentrated at once to the point that nobody really cares that we lost Cheeto Obi Martin or Aiden Heaven because they weren't even really the most exciting prospects in the vault. There was the old heads like Liam Brady way back in the day. Then a short while later there was Ray Parler, and then there was Tony Adams and Ashley Cole. Some other names that made a big impact at the club, obviously. But basically the point is homegrown heroes aren't common. Trent Alexander-Arnold's and Reece James's don't just grow on trees. It's probably why the expected move to Real Madrid angers Liverpool fans so much, even though it's kind of hard to be mad at him when he's already won everything there is to win at club level with them. I guess from a non-Liverpool fan perspective, it's easy to say that though, which is kind of my whole point. If Saka were to win everything at Arsenal and then leave, I'd still be a little irritated just because that's my guy. Obviously, I don't want him to go. Back to the main point, most academies rarely produce stars that blossom at the same club, but certain academies just seem to crap them out like they have diarrhea. I'm of course mainly talking about Masia here. It's weird. Everybody always jokes about how they seem to have an endless supply of little niggas ready no matter what, but it's genuinely getting freaky. 17-year-old Mark Bernal tore his ACL, and within a month, 21-year-old Mark Casado was working Bayern in the Champions League. They've had 17-year-old Kubarsi at the back all season. Obviously, there's 17-year-old Amal. 20-year-old Gavi returned this season after the ACL last season. Hector Fort is 18 and ready to go if any of the defenders were to get hurt. Pablo Torre is 21. Fermin Lopez is 21 with hella potential. It's genuinely mind-boggling. So what exactly is it? There's a couple of different factors that go into it, in my opinion. First and most important is reputation. Barcelona is one of the most historically respected clubs on the planet. It's not just solely about the history, though, or else Madrid and Bayern's academies would be at the same level. When it comes to reputation, Barca is also known for giving young players opportunities, making it more attractive for talented youth. Maybe at some point way in the past, it was just a coincidence that Barca popped out a bunch of super talented youngsters, but coincidence turns into notoriety, and once a narrative starts, it's hard to shut it down. Not that Barcelona would ever want to. If there's any older Spaniards around here that know anything about this, then feel free to share. But if I had to guess, I'd probably say the legend of La Masia started to creep up around the early 90s. Guillermo Amor graduated in 1988. Albert Ferrer graduated in 1990, and Pep graduated in 1992. Barcelona then proceeded to dominate La Liga throughout the next decade, with their academy graduates being key parts of that. And that's probably when La Masia started to gain recognition for being so brilliant. Once that happened, I'm sure it became more attractive for youth talents, and that, along with a combination of great scouting and development, led to the following generation, which catapulted La Masia to a legendary status as they produced an absolutely stupid amount of all-time great legends. Xavi and Puyol in the late 90s, Iniesta in the early 2000s, Messi and Busquets in the middle of the decade. Piqué spent most of his youth back at La Masia before going to United and coming back. It was the golden generation that cemented La Masia as the academy. Nowadays, kids come to La Masia and are immediately thrown into fierce competition with other children who are some of the most talented in the world. It teaches them that mentality from a very young age, which leads to them carrying themselves like they're 10 years older than they are by the time they're playing for Barcelona. They've already been fighting to stand out among super talents since the age of 10 or 11 and 12 and so on. Their raw talent is sculpted into perfection much quicker than it is anywhere else in the world, and they're ready for that iconic Barcelona child labor by the ages of 15, 16, 17, 18, whenever Barca needs them. To put it simply, La Masia and, to a lesser extent, other iconic academies like Ajax's, for example, have created that culture of youth success through their history along with their excellent scouting. It's part of the reason why, even though Madrid is just as respected historically as Barcelona, their academy just doesn't quite keep up in terms of the past few decades. Barca established the youth reputation decades ago, and while La Fabrica isn't bad by any means, there's key differences between Madrid and Barcelona that separate the two at youth level. For one thing, Madrid often sells their young talent these days. It's also believed that La Masia youngsters are taught a certain way, having Barcelona's playstyle instilled in them from youth in a way that makes it easier for them to transition seamlessly into the first team. There might have been a time where this wasn't the narrative around the two clubs' academies, but that was a long time ago, and now, especially after La Masia's golden generation, they're far more likely to pull the best of the best young Spanish talent. It's a somewhat similar case for clubs like Bayern, the overwhelmingly dominant force in Germany. They're much more likely to kidnap the best of the best young talents and develop them because they're Bayern. If we're looking at their academy's recent work, they have Thomas Muller, Philipp Lahm, and kinda Toni Kroos on their resume. Back to England, though, things aren't as lopsided because there isn't really one big dominant force, at least not anymore, with United being whatever they got going on. Instead of most talented younger players flocking to one big dominant youth system, things are way more local. You see this with the biggest homegrown stars of today. Saka's from London and joined Arsenal at 7. Trent is from Liverpool and joined their academy at 6. Palmer's from Manchester and joined City at 8. Foden is from Manchester and joined City at 4, which is still crazy to me, I can't lie. Whoever found him, check his hard drive. I don't even understand how that happened. Anyways, the thing with England is, since there isn't one big dominant youth force, there tends to just be a lot of luck that goes into producing stars across generations instead of a pattern like there is elsewhere. That leads to random bullshit happening with academies randomly getting a cracked-ass generation out of nowhere instead of real, recognizable consistency over generations. United's class in 92 is probably the most iconic. Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes, David Beckham, Gary and Phil Neville, absolutely cracked. Liverpool's academy produced Robbie Fowler and then Jamie Carragher and Michael Owen a few years later, and then Steven Gerrard a couple years after that. It's a bit too soon to speak, but Arsenal might finally be getting their turn. Saka is the established superstar, and Nwaneri and MLS are 17 and 18, both having their breakout seasons slightly sooner than expected, mainly because of the injuries. Calafiori comes back every month or so to smile at the camera, run his fingers through his hair, and then head back to his hospital bed for another month. MLS might have snatched that starting spot for good, which is good and bad, kinda, because he's been unbelievable at left back, but I'm pretty sure his natural position is in the midfield. He's generally just good enough to fill in back there. Nwaneri low-key gonna have position problems too, because originally we thought he was locked in at attacking midfielder, then Saka got hurt, and he's been on a tear at right winger, where it's very clear that he's just as dangerous. He gotta develop more before we really know where he'll be fixed at. Obviously, it won't be right wing, because Saka will be healthy again soon, but Odegaard, I don't know. I ain't saying the clock is ticking, but check your rearview mirror. I don't know if both him and Nwaneri are going to be able to play together because Zubimendi's coming in the summer, and that means it's double pivot time back there with Rice because Partey may be going to fucking jail. I don't know. Too much talent is a good problem to have, though, so I don't mind. Who's your favorite player that ever came out of your club's academy? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, y'all. Catch y'all later.